Dear students, I am Prem Kumar K, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Grade College, Chikbalapur. I am going to teach for the course BA and the subject is of English and for the semester 4th. So in this session, I am going to discuss about the questions and question paper pattern. So let us discuss one by one. So the prose and poetry will be 25 marks, and in the prose and poetry again these 25 marks will be divided like this. There will be two 5 marks questions, that is for 10 marks, and 5 2 marks questions, that will be 5 into 2 is equal to 10, and there will be 3 5 marks questions, so that will be for 15. So here let us discuss one by one. The first question of the 5 marks 2 marks question among the 5 is, hopping birds made the poet sad. Is this true or false? They will ask like that, and the answer is false. And the second question, where does the weaver bird build the nest? So, and the answer you have to write is, the weaver bird build the nest in speaker's house. And question number 3 of 2 marks is, how did he rise to the occasion? Who is Emmanuel and how did he rise to the occasion? So here the answer will be like this. This question is from speech, speech on World Humanitarian Day by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and the answer is like this for this question. Emmanuel is a friend of Adichie's father, and he promised to accommodate Adichie's father. So while Adichie's father were in crisis, Emmanuel came to them and he promised to help them in order to stay there. So this is about third question. And next question is, what was the general opinion about Mexicans? So here the answer is, there were stories about Mexicans being arrested at the border, stealing, fleecing the healthcare system, bringing disease. This is actually the general opinion about Mexicans. Perhaps Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie also thought in the same way, but later she realized. So that is already discussed in previous sessions. So you have to write in this way. For 2 marks, you write 1 or 2 sentences, means it is more than enough. And the next question is, what inspired Sandhya Suri to join the Navy? So the answer is, Sandhya Suri was inspired by uniform. Of course, most of the persons do. So she also liked that uniform and she joined the Navy. And the next question is, the biggest challenge for Sandhya Suri was to insist that she was dash and not a dash. They will ask the question like that. And the biggest challenge for Sandhya Suri was to insist that she was an officer and not a lady officer. So this was, of course, in many fields or many companies or in many government sectors, the same difficulty all the women face. Next one is, So 5 marks questions. There will be 3 5 marks questions. Answer any 3 of the following questions in a page each, choosing at least one from the poetry and rest from the prose. So poetry, one question from poetry is compulsory, what you have to understand. So among 5 or 4 questions, there will be choice to write 3, but one from poetry is compulsory. So that is very important, what you have to mind. So here let us discuss first, how does Wordsworth describe nature? Of course, Wordsworth's description about nature is, we know that he is a priest of nature, and he describes nature as a creature, and he calls it as a teacher, and he loves it very much. And as the poet sits there and he muses on nature, means he writes about nature and its beauty. He enjoys that beauty and it seems seamless existence. Of course, the nature is forever according to him. So that's why he says that spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. That is what poetry comes for him when he sits in the midst of nature. And his thoughts turn briefly to the misery of man and to the miseries that they wrought on each other. And at the time of writing, the French Revolution was raging through France. Means while there was a French Revolution, he used to write at the time, and it was also a cultural shock, which was to provide the British literary society with enough order to last them for years. Means the cultural shock for all the poets and all the dignitaries was there because of their French Revolution. French Revolution created a what we call a kind of a major effect on all these poets. So that's why many poets who were affected by that French Revolution, they wrote a wonderful literature for people. They wrote about hunger and they wrote about fight, they wrote about basic needs, how the people struggle and all these things. So they have a subject of all these things. So in this way Wordsworth describe nature. And next question is, what are the reasons for the bird's migration as mentioned in The Weaver Bird? The Weaver Bird, of course, is the poem which comes under colonization or colonial rule, where the colonizers came to the poet's country and there they settled down, and there they tried to occupy that colonized people's houses and they used to rule them. So in the midst of these circumstances and situations, the poem born. And for this question, what might be the reasons? The reason is very simple, that is of comfortable and pleasure. For these reasons only birds migrated to this what we call poet's house or home. In this last stanza of the poem actually, which means that the birds and the twigs and the trees seem to exist in the world of pleasure. At least, of course, Wordsworth decides he must tell himself that this is so. And this is the way nature is, of course, and nature in being the work of God is like this for a reason. So this is a very important reason. Means they had migrated for the quest for what we call imperialism. That's what we can see here.